Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
Sophie Cunningham didn't hold back as the Fever president was revealed on live television. Her remarks were more impactful than anyone anticipated, and the front desk is already in disarray.
Oh, this game is boring. It's not good basketball. Then all of a sudden, everything got spicy. Everything got negative. We need to talk about it. You guys, this is my live reaction.
However, this is more than a single viral event. From dubious silences to an unexpected cultural crisis, it's a full-fledged reckoning. I have all the messy details, the repercussions, and the receipts.
But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league,
Yeah.
or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You're literally dumb as fuck.
You guys played at Iowa.
It was meant to be a standard post-game. Just another microphone, another player, another wrap-up. No drama, no attention. However, Sophie Cunningham intervened and revealed everything in less than 15 seconds. You're a moron if you don't believe that Caitlin Clark is the league's face. It was more than just a quote in just one line. It was a verbal bomb. Just detonation. No filter, no cushion. All of a sudden, the WNBA was doing more than simply basketball. A civil war was raging at the time. This was not an opinion, after all. It was difficult. A clear jab at the veterans who have been avoiding Clark since the beginning. A kick to the executives who are concealing themselves behind corporate silence and PR comments. And a warning sign appeared in the midst of a league that was already crumbling under duress. The internet exploded in a matter of minutes. Clips containing action movie cuts are popular on TikTok. Twitter threads turned Sophie into a vigilante. Memes, reels, and homage postings were all over Instagram. She was referred to as the bodyguard, the enforcer, and the final genuine survivor. This is the bit that nobody is discussing, though. There was no soundbite to it. From someone who has had enough of the phony grins and deceptive respect, it felt like the unvarnished truth. Cunningham wasn't simply backing Clark. She was accompanying her into the flames. Silence returned to the main desk of the Fever, because Indiana's leadership became engrossed in a PR frenzy after witnessing one of their own start a rebellion in real time, while Sophie talked like a warrior. Additionally, they lacked a plan for what would happen next. But first, if what Sophie just stated has already made you angry, please hit the like button. The more we discuss this, the more difficult it will be for the league to ignore it. Let's create some sound.
I got her, but at the very end, and I'm not saying this is what caused it, but she dipped a little bit.
Yeah.
But she did dip. And then right when I saw, I was like, oh shit, like my bad. Not really my bad. And then they both came at me. I was like, fuck it, come.
Did you get fined for that?
Yeah, like $900,
Oh.
which like our fines are a joke.
The coolest part about that fight is that your face.
I didn't care.
You're aware of the time. Everybody does. Connecticut versus Indiana. Another blow to Caitlin Clark. From JCS Sheldon this time. This is not the first instance. It won't be the final one. However, what came next? Everything changed at that point. Without waiting for a whistle, Sophie Cunningham took action. She turned into one. Like a linebacker tired of being polite, he stormed in, grabbed Sheldon, and tossed her. There was no thrust. It was a declaration. The audience froze. Commentators made mistakes. She was fined $900 by the referees. Sophie chuckled as well. According to reports, she said, "That's it," as if it were the cost of entering a new age. The moment went viral in an instant. Before the perspiration even touched the court, slow-motion replays appeared on Twitter. The identical message appeared in every caption: "Protect the Queen." However, the highlight reel did not tell the full tale. It took place later. Caitlin turned to Sophie in the locker room and said, "Finally." Not thank you, not wow, just finally. That was the voice of fatigue. That was the end of months of quiet, elbows, and bruises. Sophie simply met her gaze and answered, "I got you." Just two players focused on something genuine, no cameras, no PR filters. This was no longer about basketball at that point. Clark was no longer merely a participant. She turned to become a symbol. Furthermore, Sophie was more than just a teammate. She became a battle cry. The Fever was driven into a line in the sand by that one act of disobedience. Cooperation or unity. The majority opted for unity because it was impossible to return to business as usual following a hit like that and a reaction like Sophie's. The message was very clear and the battlefield had been sketched. Stay out of the way or defend one another.
I can't believe people are doing this. Two Caitlin Clark teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea. Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6.
Yeah. Yep.
Boom!
Wow.
JC Sheldon, that's cute. You want to poke her in the eye, then push her into a boom, Mabry thing? Go ahead. I'll take a take foul, and you'll eat the deck a little bit here. And then we'll get out. I love it. I know people aren't going to like this. I like the Connecticut team doing what they did as well.
Yeah.
San Francisco tomorrow. You're on the Las Vegas Strip. What can the Las Vegas expect from Sophie?
Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player. So
the temperature was mounting behind the scenes. JCS Sheldon wasn't thrown by Sophie Cunningham on a whim. For months, she had been seeing the slow burn. It wasn't paranoia. It was the identification of patterns. There was no internet conspiracy behind the league's covert efforts to dehumanize Caitlin Clark. Almost everyone knew about it. From the sidelines side-eye, the whistle is followed by late bumps. On team buses, there were murmurs of caution and smirks on the bench. She doesn't deserve it. She's not prepared for W. Translation: break her before she succeeds. Sophie, on the other hand, recorded every second. While the rest of the league played dumb, she maintained mental receipts. However, it ended when Clark was leveled for the 6th time in a single game. The explosion was unavoidable when the match and fuse came into contact. Her response was not careless. It was just. And something changed when the video returned to the Fever locker room. Pretending is over. No more ignoring the blows. As the players watched Sophie, one of them finally got up and screamed, "Enough." And that excitement quickly spread. Neutrality was suddenly out of the question. Either the silence or Clark were with you. And quiet had a face. The Fever president, who vanished when her star was under fire. Corporate timidity concealed under buzzwords. No declarations, no support. Sophie, meantime, was doing what the leadership refused to do in the trenches. They also observed the team. Because they won't be following the person in the press box when the storm returns. They are traveling with someone who has demonstrated that she is prepared to fight.
But when it is a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing?
The WNBA has been making headlines, increasing viewership, and boosting merchandise sales by riding the Caitlin Clark championship wave like it's their last chance to survive. However, Sophie Cunningham wasn't going to stand by and accept that double standard when it came to genuinely defending her on the court. Not even a whisper from the upper management. With a flamethrower filled with receipts and a single target in mind, she went scorched earth, aiming directly at the league suits. She attacked the referees with hypocrisy while wearing a fancy outfit. I would be expelled if that were me. But no aid, no whistle, no awful justice for Caitlin. She then confronted the league's leadership with a blowtorch. They will not defend her, even though they are making money off of her. Not only were those words heated, but they were also radioactive. The video went viral on the internet. They printed t-shirts. The courtside rows were littered with protest signs. It didn't feel like an interview, Sophie's tirade. It had a manifesto-like quality. A rallying cry for all the fans who had been watching the hits accumulate without any repercussions. Cunningham was no longer merely a player all of a sudden. She was the most dangerous truth-teller in the league. The president with the Fever disappeared
Clark
in the
stands,
meantime.
TikTok
the
warriors,
dark press crew for
YouTube
social
reactors,
media is
and Twitter
missing.
parents who saw their
Just
girl
silence,
getting bullied.
no quotes, no defense. The league's reputation began to deteriorate during that quiet, because the WNBA was making money off of the disruption in addition to failing to protect their star. Sophie pointed out more than just poor officiating. She revealed a system that was dependent on Clark's attention while allowing her to operate in the background. This was not a PR blunder. It was the entire fucking plan. And Cunningham put the league in a difficult situation with a single viral mic drop. Protect your stars, or admit you're using them. There is no longer a middle ground.
With that, you guys, you can hear it in the video right here. The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie." Sophie's jersey is gonna sell out tonight. She's gonna be in the All-Star game tonight just from this one play because she was standing on business. It wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul, and it was meant to send a message. And how egregious the referees were, and how they were not protecting players, and they especially weren't protecting the #1 player in this league, the biggest draw in this league, which is Caitlin Clark.
Oh, the supporters didn't have no idea. They had had enough of being polite after seeing every push, every call, and every moment of league stillness. The fan base provided the petrol, and Sophie lighted the match. These weren't traditional WNBA fans drinking tea in the rafters. These were Twitter parents, YouTube reactors, TikTok warriors, and Clark stans who witnessed their daughter being harassed as the league did nothing but sell jerseys. Suddenly, the rebellion had a face. Sophie Cunningham, the truth teller, the enforcer, the person who didn't wait for PR clearance. Like confetti, TikToks fell. With slow-motion cuts of Clark's bruises and subtitles like, "She's getting mauled and they call a defense," Sophie's tirade is cut to gladiator music. I've never watched a WNBA game before, but I'd go to war for Sophie, one youngster wrote on social media. Her following skyrocketed from 200,000 to over 1 million in just 48 hours. The jerseys were sold out. Tearful messages were being posted by parents. During rehearsal, even middle school girls were repeating Sophie. It wasn't advertising. There was a movement, and the league remained trapped on the same buffering screen. They uttered some trite business platitudes like respect for competitors and league behavior. Not a single word about Caitlin Clark, nothing human, nothing personal. At that point, the anger erupted because it was no longer just about missed calls. It was about a player, a fan base, and a moment being betrayed. Sophie wasn't finished either. You're driving away the very people that are trying to save your league if you don't defend her. Boom. The century's best line. It appeared on t-shirts, banners, and shouts outside of stadia. Because the WNBA insulted their entire future in addition to ignoring its star. The admirers, on the other hand, were prepared to part with their girl, their money, and their loyalty. Take a moment to pause. Is Sophie the only one prepared to criticize the system, in your opinion? Leave a remark for the next WNBA player you believe is going to lose it. This is only the beginning of the fire.
Shout out to the Indiana Fever fans because you guys came in so strong and were doing exactly what fans need to do. They were booing these players every time they touched the ball. They were getting active. They were getting after it. I'm surprised the WNBA hasn't launched an investigation yet, honestly. But the Connecticut Sun started to get embarrassed, and that is not a good place to be. That's actually a dangerous place to be when you're on the court. And so I was worried that things are going to get even more physical because when a team feels like they have nothing to lose, sometimes they start to get dirty, they start to get extra physical. And this is not only something that happens.
Caitlin Clark was no longer the only focus of this. It wasn't just a match that Sophie Cunningham threw. When she stood up, she wasn't just standing up for Clark, which lighted up the entire system. She was revealing something terrible behind the curtain. A league that craved for attention eventually received it and then freaked out when it came to demanding change and donning Clark jerseys. Let's be honest. Sophie revealed the resentment, jealousy, and small-minded gatekeeping from veterinarians who pretend it's all part of the job. No, it wasn't hazing. It was sabotage. You could almost hear the whispering. She didn't deserve it. She's just another hype-filled white chick. She avoided the conflict. No, she made your paychecks relevant, packed the venues, and brought in the ratings. And other players turned that into a hit job rather than enjoying it. Sisterhood isn't like that. Self-destruction is what that is. Then Sophie said the quote that made everything clear. We've always desired this. Why are we upset that it's occurring at last? It was more than simply a mic drop. Nobody in authority had the courage to speak that fact. because the system was not designed to flourish, but rather to grind and survive. It therefore froze when the spotlight finally came on. The president of the Fever resigned. The league remained silent. Fans didn't realize they were waiting for Sophie's voice. She wasn't attempting to play the hero. However, she grew into something greater when everyone else remained silent. The first to swing with intention, a line in the sand, a walking revolt in a high ponytail. Sophie Cunningham simply stated the truth, shaking the entire system as the league stalled in PR limbo. Sophie entered the spotlight with facts, fire, and rage even though she didn't ask for it. The league now has an option: change or burn. Because Sophie Cunningham brought the war, even though Caitlin Clark brought the audience. This is far from the end of the story. Subscribe now if you want to ride with the truth rather than politics. We're tracking every turn of events, every rebuttal, and every uncomfortable reality that the league attempts to avoid.